Starting any business is a monumental task, and starting a winery or vineyard is certainly no exception. It requires years of saving and planning, and years more before you start turning a profit. And these are just the initial steps. Once up and running, a vineyard demands a tremendous amount of work, dedication, and luck. Vines are notoriously finicky. A volatile growing season can wipe out an entire vintage. We've already gone over some tips on how to run a winery, so today we'll go over some of the basics on how to start a winery. As with any job this big, a blog post will necessarily be far from exhaustive, but hopefully this will give you some ideas or inspire you to do further research. Okay, let's start with the first steps. A passion project, such as this one might be for you, is exciting, and that first beautiful glass of wine at the finish line probably keeps you racing ahead. Unfortunately, there are some steps that must be taken early on to ensure that your winery will be a hit. The first major step in determining what kind of winery you'd like to have is critical. There are a surprising number of options here. At the most basic level, there are 3 levels of production: growing the grapes, producing the wine, and hosting guests at the winery. Many wineries choose some combination of these 3. Will you grow your own grapes or order them from farmers, or a combination of the 2? Some wineries outsource grapes for the first few years while the new vines mature. Will you run the production yourself, or could you skip the growing and the production and just host events and sell your delicious wine? Your options will be limited if you plan to grow the grapes yourself. Winemaking grapes are fragile and fussy. They grow well only in very specific climates and soils. At this stage, the land could be your backyard or a 2,000-acre farm, but wherever you're looking, it must be hospitable to your precious grapes. If you plan to buy grapes from existing farms, you'll be provided more flexibility, though choosing the right spot will be just as critical for your future success. Most aspiring vintners will need a loan to get off the ground too. Here's where a great business plan comes in. A retail business plan is essential for securing small business loans, especially one as substantial as a winery will require. Research is critical at this stage too. Don't be shy. Ask other winemakers to share their experience. Based on your location and planned amount of production, ballpark your total expenses and revenue. Next, think about the grapes. Once you have some of the big picture details out of the way, you can focus more on the craft itself. If you plan to buy your grapes from someone else, you can skip to the next section. First, analyze your climate. When do the first and last freezes come? Vines should typically be planted after the last freeze, and grapes harvested before the first. How many days of sunshine does your area get? Ideally, temperatures never hit extremes. Warmer nights and cooler days are good. You also need to survey your land. Not only do your vines like perfect weather, but they also like slopes, particularly south-facing slopes, since those tend to get more direct sunlight. Don't worry, your fastidiousness will pay dividends in the end. Next, choose the right soil. As you might expect, vines require a more acidic soil and one that is not too nutrient-rich. They prefer to live on the brink of peril in every way possible. Unsurprisingly, most also thrive in rocky soils that drain easily. Determine how many vines you want as well. Generally, vines should be planted 4 to 6 feet apart from one another so that they never shade each other. Oh yeah, they hate shade as well. Rows should be about 6 feet apart. On average, you need 20 pounds of grapes to produce a gallon of wine, so a healthy vine should produce about 5 pounds of grapes per season. Brush up on your algebra and calculate how much wine you'd like. Next, choose your varietals. There are 6,000 different varietals native to Italy alone. You have options. Some, of course, will not be suitable to your climate, but many will be. Choose vines that will thrive and bear you many delicious grapes. Also, you need to buy your vines. There are many companies that sell 1-year-old vines. These are mature enough to be planted right away and should start bearing fruit in the next year or 2. Research different companies and inspect the vines for any signs of stress, fungus, or rot. Also, be sure that the vines are certified as 1-year-old. Some purveyors will try to toss in older vines that are not sellable the prior year and therefore might not do well when transplanted. And 7, plant them. Dig holes that are about a ½ foot wide and less than a ½ foot deep. Set up a basic trellis system to give them support. This doesn't have to be as fancy as those in Napa. Some basic wire will do the trick. And finally, focus on the winery itself. No matter what levels of production you'll be handling yourself, the selling of the wine is your ultimate job. Number 1, start marketing early. Winemaking and selling is competitive, and entry into the market isn't as prohibited as you might seem. It is essential to figure out your niche in the market and how you can uniquely brand yourself. Number 2, follow local, state, and federal regulations. Like any business that deals with alcohol, you will have to deal with a vast amount of licensing and paperwork. Register your business with the ATF and complete all required licensure with your city and state. Number 3, plan for distribution. If you will be growing enough to sell outside of your area, figure out feasible options for distribution. Wine is difficult to please off the vine as well and needs to be transported carefully. Number 4, design the winery and retail space. This can come in many shapes and sizes. And again, it doesn't have to look like a scene from Sideways. Put thought into the layout of your space and how many people it could host. There are plenty of ways to get creative with some of your retail strategies. Number 5, set up a wine club. Wine clubs are an easy way to get people in your doors and promote your product. Most people like to look for guiltless excuses to drink wine, and a local club is a perfect one. It's a good way to integrate yourself with the community as well. Number 6, just a winery? Well, will you have food service or serve other beverages? What about hosting events? Figure out what other areas of operation your small business will be. Number 7, choose your winery point of sale system. It would be a shame that after your years of hard work, the actual sale of your product was interrupted by an inferior POS system. KORONA is specifically designed for wineries and is an all-in-one solution. We integrate with Be Loyal for any wine club needs and can handle retail and food and beverage sales too. Okay, well, good luck with your winery, and as always, thanks for watching. For more retail advice, don't forget to subscribe to our blog and channel.